At 32, his life didn't look broken from the outside. He had a job, a small apartment, and a routine that kept the days moving. But inside, everything felt stalled. Every morning started the same way, waking up late, scrolling through his phone, rushing out the door already tired. He told himself he was just not a morning person, that things would change someday when motivation finally showed up. But days turned into months, and months into years, and nothing really changed. He wasn't lazy, that's what frustrated him the most. He worked hard at his job, showed up on time, paid his bills, yet every night there was the same quiet disappointment. The feeling that he was capable of more, but somehow never accessing it. He would sit on his couch after dinner, TV on in the background, thinking about all the things he wanted to do, get healthier, learn a new skill, improve his finances, maybe even start something of his own. And then he would tell himself, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. The problem wasn't a lack of goals. It was exhaustion. Mental exhaustion. Decision fatigue. Every day felt reactive. Emails, messages, responsibilities, noise. By the time he had a moment to think about himself, his energy was gone. So he escaped into distractions, videos, social media, anything that didn't require effort. It was easier than facing the feeling that he was falling behind in his own life. One night, after another unproductive evening, he caught his reflection in the dark TV screen. He looked older than he felt inside, tired, not physically, but deeply, in a way sleep never fixed. That was the first time he admitted something to himself. If nothing changed, this would be his life 5 years from now too. Same couch, same thoughts, same regrets. He didn't wake up the next morning transformed. There was no dramatic decision, no sudden burst of motivation. In fact, the change started almost accidentally. One morning, he woke up 15 minutes earlier than usual. Not because he planned to. He had forgotten to set his alarm properly. His first instinct was, even with the extra time, to grab his phone. But something stopped him. Maybe it was boredom. Maybe it was frustration. Instead of scrolling, he just sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor. For the first time in a long while, there was silence. No notifications, no input, just him and his thoughts. That morning, he didn't do anything productive. He didn't journal. He didn't exercise. He just sat there for 5 minutes, letting his mind wander. Then he got ready and left for work. But something felt different. The day felt slightly calmer. Not better in a dramatic way, just less rushed, less foggy. He noticed small things he usually ignored. The air outside, the way the city sounded early in the morning, how his mind felt clearer before work even started. The next day, without thinking too much about it, he woke up 10 minutes early again. This time, intentionally. And again, he didn't touch his phone. He sat in silence. 5 minutes. That was it. That 5-minute habit became the smallest promise he ever made to himself, the only one he actually kept. He didn't tell anyone about it. He didn't track it. He didn't try to optimize it. Every morning, he simply woke up a little earlier and sat quietly. No music, no screen, no goals. At first, his mind was chaotic. Thoughts raced. Worries about work, money, the future. But slowly, something unexpected happened. The noise started to settle, not disappear but soften. After a week, he noticed he wasn't reaching for his phone as soon as he woke up anymore. After 2 weeks, mornings didn't feel like an emergency. After a month, he realized he was making better decisions during the day. Small ones, but important ones. He started eating a little better, not because he was following a plan, but because he felt more aware. He stopped snapping at people over small things. He felt less reactive, less defensive. When problems came up, he paused instead of panicking. That 5-minute habit did something he hadn't expected. It gave him space. Space between stimulus and response. Space between stress and reaction. Space to choose. One morning, while sitting there, a thought came to him quietly, without pressure. What if I used 10 minutes of my evening the same way? No phone, no distractions, just thinking, reflecting, planning tomorrow. He tried it that night. 10 minutes turned into 15. 15 turned into a routine. And slowly, he started seeing patterns in his own life, things he'd been avoiding. Habits that were draining him, people and situations that left him feeling smaller. He didn't change everything at once. He didn't need to. Because the biggest shift had already happened. He was paying attention to his own life again. Weeks passed, then months. He began waking up even earlier, not out of discipline, but because he wanted that quiet time. He added a short walk some mornings. Not for fitness, just for clarity. During those walks, ideas started forming. About his career, about skills he wanted to learn, about the kind of life he actually wanted, not the one he was drifting through. Eventually, he picked one small goal. Just one. Something manageable. He committed to working on it for 20 minutes a day. That's it. No pressure to be perfect. No expectations of immediate results. And because his mornings were calm, because his mind wasn't constantly overwhelmed, he actually followed through. Progress was slow, almost invisible, but it was real. 6 months later, his life didn't look unrecognizable. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but he was different, more grounded, more intentional, more in control. People around him noticed it before he fully did. They said he seemed calmer, more confident, less stressed. He handled setbacks better, he didn't spiral the way he used to. All of it traced back to that one small habit. Not waking up early, not productivity, not motivation. Silence, 5 minutes a day of doing nothing. That habit taught him something no book or video ever had. You don't change your life by overwhelming yourself with big plans. You change it by creating space to think clearly, to listen, to notice when you're drifting and gently steer yourself back. Most people wait for motivation to appear before they change. He learned that clarity comes first, and clarity comes from stillness. That one small habit didn't fix his life overnight, but it changed the direction of it. And sometimes, direction is everything. As time went on, he began to realize something even more unsettling and freeing at the same time. Most of his stress had never come from his circumstances. It came from the constant noise he allowed into his mind, the endless comparison, the pressure to be somewhere else in life, the feeling that he was late, behind, or missing something everyone else had figured out. That 5-minute habit slowly rewired how he saw himself. Instead of judging every day by what he achieved, he started measuring it by how present he was. Some mornings, his thoughts were heavy, regret showed up, doubt showed up, but instead of pushing them away, he let them pass. And in doing so, they lost their power. There were days he skipped the habit, days when he overslept or rushed out the door, but here's what changed. He didn't quit. He didn't spiral into guilt. He simply returned the next day. That was new for him. Before, missing one day used to mean giving up completely. Now, consistency wasn't about perfection. It was about coming back. Slowly, that mindset spread into other areas of his life. When he made a mistake at work, he didn't mentally beat himself up for days. When progress felt slow, he didn't assume failure. He understood something he hadn't before. Growth feels boring while it's happening. You only recognize it later, looking back. One evening, while sitting quietly, he wrote something down that surprised him. Not a goal, not a plan, just a sentence. I don't need to escape my life anymore. When he read it back, it felt true. He wasn't constantly looking for distractions. He wasn't counting the hours until the day was over. He was actually inside his own life, experiencing it. That's when opportunities started showing up, not magically, but naturally. He noticed things he would have ignored before. A conversation at work that led to a new responsibility. A skill he'd been curious about that suddenly felt achievable. A chance to improve his income, not overnight, but steadily. And because his mind was clearer, he didn't hesitate as much. He didn't overthink every decision. He trusted himself more. There was one particular morning, almost a year after that accidental early wake-up, when he realized how far he'd come. He was sitting in the same spot, the same quiet room, but he felt like a different person. Not louder, not flashier, just solid. He thought about the version of himself who used to promise tomorrow every night. The version who felt stuck but didn't know why. And for the first time he felt compassion instead of frustration. That version wasn't broken. He was just overwhelmed and disconnected. The habit didn't change his life because it made him productive. It changed his life because it brought him back to himself. Most people look for big transformations, new routines, new identities, new beginnings. But what he learned was simpler and harder at the same time. If you can sit with yourself in silence for a few minutes each day, everything else starts to rearrange naturally. Your priorities shift, your patience grows, your confidence becomes quieter but stronger. He never became someone who preached habits or routines to others. In fact, if you asked him what changed his life, he probably wouldn't mention it at all. He would just say he started listening more, thinking less, reacting slower. And that's the part most people miss. The habit wasn't about 5 minutes in the morning. It was about creating a pause in a world that never stops talking. It was about choosing awareness over autopilot, intention over impulse. His life didn't become perfect. He still had hard days, setbacks, moments of doubt. But now, those moments didn't define him. They passed through him. And that's how one small habit, almost invisible, almost boring, changed everything without making any noise at all. Years later, if someone looked at his life from the outside, they still wouldn't see anything dramatic. No viral success story. No overnight breakthrough. Just a man living with quiet confidence, steady progress, and a sense of control he once thought was reserved for other people. But he knew the truth. The real change didn't happen when his income improved, or when his career stabilized, or when he felt more confident in social situations. Those were just outcomes. The real change happened the moment he stopped running from silence and started using it. Because in that silence, he learned how to listen to his limits, to his instincts, to the small warnings he used to ignore. He learned when to push forward and when to rest. When something wasn't right, when he was lying to himself, and when he was finally moving in the right direction. That habit gave him something rare in a busy world: self-trust. He no longer needed constant validation. He didn't need to compare his timeline to anyone else's. When progress felt slow, he didn't panic. When things went wrong, he didn't collapse. He had learned how to sit with discomfort without letting it control him. And the strange part was this: the habit never got bigger. It never became more complicated. No apps, no trackers, no rules. Just a few quiet minutes each morning, reminding him that his life was happening right now and not someday in the future. Most people believe their life will change when they do something big. He learned that life changes when you stop drowning in noise long enough to hear yourself think. That's why this story isn't really about him. It's about the version of you that feels capable but stuck. The one who's busy all day but still feels behind. The one who keeps waiting for motivation, clarity, or the right moment to start. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need discipline you don't have yet. You don't need to fix everything at once. Sometimes, all it takes is one small habit that creates space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to choose differently. And from that space, everything else can slowly, quietly, change.